Do these 3 things to get out of debt faster. Coming right at ya. Hey guys, my name is Peter and I've been in the financial industry for over 11 years. I'm passionate about showing others the tips and tricks I've learned along the way. Stick with me as we dig in. Number 1, define your why. If you don't have a clear why or a clear reason you want to get out of debt in the first place, then it'll be so much harder to keep it going. You have to remember, this is going to be difficult. You might even be coming up against years and maybe even decades of lifestyle and choices and habits that you've been making over the long term that have brought you to this place. So you have to remember, this why will actually motivate you when times get tough, or maybe even when friends invite you to go out to eat, or when you find something at a store that was on sale, or maybe something online. You have to remember the why. People typically don't get anywhere if they don't know where they're headed. If you also don't have a why, then it'll be so much harder to say no. I've heard it said by Dave Ramsey that the good thing about principles is that if someone lives off of principles, then 99% of their decisions are already made ahead of time. So it makes it easier for you to be able to get yourself out of debt because you've decided ahead of time, this is my reason, this is my why, and because of this, I'm gonna finish getting out of debt quick. Number 2, you have to take responsibility. All you can control is you. Whether you've made some poor financial decisions in the past or mistakes, or simply life happened and you found yourself in a place full of debt, then you have to remember that all you can control is you. Stop making excuses. Stop blaming other people for where you're at today. I know it's difficult and everyone has a different situation that they're in. The reality is when you take ownership, you'll get much further. Jim Rohn says you must take personal responsibility. You can't change the circumstances, the wind, or the seasons, but you can control yourself. Like we mentioned earlier, that's all that we can control. So instead of making excuses, I would encourage you, just own up to it and move on from here. Number 3, you have to get focused. You have to make the most out of every single dollar. Don't say you want to get out of debt and you're still going to Starbucks every single day, or maybe you're still going out to eat, or you're still shopping online every night. If you say that you really want to get yourself out of debt, you have to get focused. You work hard, so make sure that you spend your money on what you actually want your life to look like. How invested to this change are you really? Tony Robbins says you need to change your I should to I must. You have to change your focus from an I should or I want to an I must. And at that point, there is no option. There is no plan B because you're so committed. You know, there's a story of a Spanish commander that arrived to an island to conquer it. And when he was pulling up to shore, he turned around and told his men, "Burn the boats!" This meant that the men must either conquer or die. As you can imagine, this took things to an entirely different level. They knew there was no plan B. They knew they had to go and conquer. So I would have to ask, what would it look like for you to burn your own boats? What would it look like for you to have no plan B? It's time to get focused on what you really want. Just think about it for a moment. If you do this, you know that you'll get out of debt much quicker. I really believe that if you take these 3 things to heart, then you'll really take greater strides to get out of debt faster. And you might even turn around one day and think, wow, I was able to do it. Because you decided to define your why. You decided to take responsibility and own your stuff. And lastly, you decided to get focused. No longer tiptoeing around these debts, instead deciding, I'm going after this. Stop saying you want to get out of debt and get out there and get focused and get going. So let me know in the comments, what is your why? And what would it look like for you to burn your boats this week? Also, what changes are you going to make this week as you commit yourself to get out of debt quicker? I'm so glad that you joined us today, and if any of this was helpful to you or if you got any value out of it, I really would appreciate it if you hit the like button. Make sure also to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on other weekly financial tips. Make sure and check out my other videos for content like this. See you next week.